Hey everybody, welcome back to another quick little video here on the channel. I'm working on more cooking videos soon, but there's some awesome news out of the USDA, as you can see from this website, and I wanted to cover it. I covered it a couple weeks ago on the podcast as well as in the newsletter, and if you haven't already, go sub to those below. But essentially, the USDA is really starting to focus on fixing the whole, where did my food come from? So I'll link the article below in the description, but essentially, a couple weeks ago, the USDA announced the launch of a new voluntary program, and it is essentially a product of USA label. So if we come down to here, I'm going to read this section. USDA's final product of USA rule allows the voluntary, quote, product of USA or made in the USA label claimed to be used on meat, poultry, and egg products only when they are derived from animals born, raised, slaughtered, and processed in the United States. The rule will prohibit misleading U.S. origin labeling in the market and help ensure that the information that consumers receive about their food, about where their food comes from, is truthful. This is awesome. We've talked about it a little bit on the podcast, how the country of origin label was appealed years ago. And essentially, that's helped other countries like China and Brazil import a ton of meat into the country. And essentially, meat everywhere in the U.S. doesn't have to disclose where it's from. And I wrote an article kind of detailing this. Maybe you're somebody and you really want some sustainably raised meat. Well, when you go to a grocery store, it's hard to support that practice. It's hard to support from farmers that you can figure out how they're growing their meat, all that stuff. And instead, it's like mystery meat. If you want to support your local farmer and rancher at a grocery store, you can't, because you can't figure out where it's at. But this new label is going to be huge, because now there's going to be this whole thing. I think it goes on to talk about it later on. I'll talk about it in a second. But essentially, these labels, you're going to look at them and know, hey, this steak or this egg was produced in the United States. That's amazing. And the issue with meat and egg products from other countries is that their standards aren't up to the level of quality as the US. And so that's a big issue. And a lot of times, in Brazil, for example, they are exporting so much beef, they are actually cutting down parts of the Amazon rainforest, and that's obviously no good. So you don't know where your meat's coming from. You might be helping, you might be buying meat from Brazil and thus accidentally being part of the problem, which sucks. But I mean, yeah, that's one of the big issues. And I've heard that there were some lobbyists behind the country of origin label, so the appeal. So yeah, this is at least a step in the right direction. It doesn't go into effect until January 1st, 2026. So we still have a ways to go. Now, there's going to be some documentation that the USDA is going to require to make sure that they can use this label. And it said it's voluntary. I would assume, and I need to ask some farmers and ranchers to see if they would be using this like crazy, but I'd assume that every U.S. farmer and rancher would want to use this, because I just see that a typical consumer is going to see it and be like, hey, let me use that. So that would be awesome. And in terms of making this, you've got to back it up with all sorts of paperwork and stuff like that. There are some really interesting laws and loopholes when it comes to using the product of USA in other food, like blueberries, for example. Allie and I went to Walmart a couple months ago, and we bought some blueberries. The blueberries can say product of USA, but the blueberries were raised and harvested outside of the U.S., and they were only packaged in the U.S. So it's confusing, and I know consumers are going to be confused about this, because with fruits and vegetables, it's going to mean something totally different versus meat. So I hope the USDA can figure out something with this. Maybe product of USA and made in the USA can carry over to fruit and vegetables. So we'll see. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. I think this is a step in the right direction. I think we're going to see an influx of companies using this, or I'm sorry, of farmers and ranchers using it in 2026. I'm curious to see how they will check the documentation, like what that is going to look like. Because I'm sure there will be people abusing the system. Also, the USDA is awarding $9.5 million to 42 projects through the local meat capacity grant. That's great. Well, because we saw with COVID that there was a huge bottleneck because we have so few processors around the country. People got sick. We had a huge bottleneck issue. And the problem wasn't that we didn't have enough beef. We didn't have enough processing capabilities. So this is hoping that we can fix that because there have been a lot of meat processors closed down. I think one in Jacksonville closed down recently, and I believe one in Iowa. I think it was a pork processor, I believe, that shut down. So, yeah, hopefully this will help. I think that's a lot of good stuff coming from the USDA, coming from Secretary Vilsack. So, credit to them. I can't wait to see what this product of USA label looks like. What do you think? Do you think this is too little, too late? Do you think this is at least a step in the right direction? Let me know in the comments, please. If you're a farmer or consumer, please let me know what you think. I want to learn what more people think about this and how maybe the USDA can improve upon it before the start of 2026. So we'll see. Hope you enjoyed this quick little video. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I've got some new cooking videos coming out very soon, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios.